All right, so when it's in its normal state, it's gonna scroll. I equals 0 is current, T equals 72 is the current, the temperature that it's seeing, and then SP 40 is set point of 40. So if you want to go and adjust these set points, you do shift, put you up into these words up here. We're going to do shift config, and then we'll arrow down through all of these and talk about them. Units, imperial, switch control mode. You can do proportional, but we're just going to do on off, just like a thermostat would be. So it'll turn on and off rather than proportionally as it hits the set point. The control set point default is 40. We're going to leave it there. It gets down to 40. We're going to turn on. It's an electronic controller, so it could be 40. It'd be on off. So we program in a deadband. So on falling temperature, it goes on at 40. On rising temperature, it goes off at 45 based on that 5-degree deadband. PASC is a proportional. You don't need that. Low TS1, low temperature sensor 1, which is this bottom one, is enabled. We want it to be enabled. We want it to go off if it gets below 35. We want it to go into alarm. High temperature, we don't really need a high temperature in this application, so we're going to skip that. Temperature sensor 2. Most cases people don't use it. You happen to have 2, so we're going to hit enter. We're going to arrow down to enable it. And apparently it doesn't like that sensor. Maybe he's not there yet. That's what an alarm looks like, by the way. Low TS2, we want to enable that as well. And we want that to be at 35. And again, we don't need the high temperature. We'll arrow down through all these temperature sensor limits and things that we're not going to use. Low load. So if it tells it to go on and it's drawing less than X amount of amps, it's going to say, hey, there's a problem. Now, back to the flashing light. That's all you get for an alarm. So if you're not tied into the BMS, somebody doesn't walk by here and acknowledge that, then, acknowledge is the wrong word. See that and do something about it, nobody's going to know. All right, so we're going to enable a low load. The default is 1 amp. I'm going to see, these are pretty short. We may have to drop that a little bit.
Will it make any sound or just?
This is it. That's all you get. It's intended to be tied into something. These usually are mounted out.
To the BMS.
Yeah. This provides ground fault protection at 30 milliamps. It will trip. It also has a warning for you at 20. If something's degrading, then it'll alarm at 20. It will trip at 30. TS fail mode. If you lose a sensor, do you want it to go on or do you want it to go off? Safety shower, you'd probably want it to go off. Here, we want it to go on. We don't want anything to freeze. So we're going to leave that as on. TS control mode. How do you want this thing to interpret the temperatures that it's seeing? We want it to say, hey, the one that's the coldest, go on when the coldest one. So we're going to hit enter. Default is TS1 fail on. We're going to look for lowest fail not to good, lowest fail to on. So we're going to hit enter. And because it is, that's why I didn't want these connected. Because it's an alarm, it went on, right? Because we're in alarm, I said fail to on, so I said, oh, I better turn on that. Override, this has a capability that you could have an external source turn it on for whatever reason, any number of reasons you might want to utilize that, but there's a whole bunch of communications and things. You could put a passcode on here if you don't want somebody messing with it. I strongly suggest you do not do that because it's in a secure location anyway. It's not going to happen. Has abilities to talk directly to a computer via Modbus or through a translator to BACnet. Again, I would just look for the closure of the contacts and do that. Autocycle, I find this to be important. It will turn on at an interval to make sure everything is okay. So rather than waiting till it's cold in the winter, turning on, and some guy was out there changing a valve, cut the heat trace in half, you wouldn't know until it went on for the first time. With Autocycle, you tell it, I'll tell it 168 hours, which is about a week. I'm going to tell it to go on. So Autocycle enable, Autocycle time, I'm going to say 1. I don't have the option for a week, so I say 168 hours. And then the cycle units is hours. Contactor count, it'll count the number, and then alarm output. On the alarm, this is an important one. The alarm is a solid state relay, so you want it to open on alarm, go open on alarm. You can do it electronically here to close on alarm, but when you lose power, with no power, it can't close. So if you want loss of power, which obviously you do, look for open on alarm. And that's the whole thing.